All right. Welcome again to the Uncle Wristlock podcast. My guest for today is Zach Bradcovich. And I forgot, Zach, you're purple belt?
Yeah, purple belt. Yeah, just as of
Yes.
December
Okay.
17th.
So just a couple months. We're filming here February 2026. And so 3 months in
Yeah.
to Purple Belt Nation. And so for a lot of folks, purple belt, you're probably in it for life, unless life does something weird to you. You got through blue belt. You didn't disappear.
Yep.
And so it's going to be a lot of fun to talk to you today. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're a business owner as well, so we'll probably touch a little bit on how jiu-jitsu helps you with your business and leadership.
Yeah.
But to start with, just want to hear how you got started in jiu-jitsu, and you kind of have a little bit of a unique journey with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'd love to share. So I was born in 91, so I'm the first UFC. Like my dad watched the original UFC fights and jiu-jitsu took everything by storm, right? And my first jiu-jitsu class was probably 2004, 2005. It was a guy's basement. So I'm from Bloomingdale, Ohio, which is a very tiny map dot. And it's 30 minutes from town. And then Carrollton County, which was like 45 minutes, which is still a small town. They had a purple belt that taught jiu-jitsu in his basement. And I know nowadays people would like never go to a purple belt, but back
Not
in
20 years
2004,
ago.
2005,
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of black belts in the country, let alone Ohio, and then
Right.
let alone in small towns. And so my dad and I went to this guy's house once a month, did it, but finances were tough and then timing and yada, yada, yada.
How old were you then with Dad?
Ooh, like 13, 14.
Okay. Yeah. And were you doing any other sports?
I did football for a little while, but I think that was done. Yeah, that I think I just stopped doing football. I was homeschooled. So after junior high, they wouldn't let me play football with the school system. I had to go to public school. And
Oh, okay.
I didn't do that. So then I got into, so I took jujitsu and then I started watching Walker, Texas Rangers, which had Chuck Norris, and he was a 6-time undefeated karate champion. He also gave Machados their first studio, which then led to Joe Rogan, which then led to the explosion that we've seen in martial arts. And he's been doing jujitsu since like the late 70s, 80s. Like, so watched Walker, Texas Ranger, and became a huge fan. And his style, which is Chun Cook Do, was supposed to have jiu-jitsu in it. And so I looked up Chun Cook Do studios, and I had
Okay.
one that was 30 minutes away from my house.
Oh,
And
wow.
my
Yeah.
karate, we call it karate, but it was really Chun Cook Do. But for simple terms, we'll just say karate. He actually tested under Chuck Norris and like had been to his Lone Wolf Ranch. And then in the 90s, Chuck Norris invited the Gracies to the ITF or whatever it was called to train his students. And so my instructor got to roll with the Gracies back in the early 90s before they were the stars they were.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I've
and
seen
so I
some
did
old grainy VHS, footage of Chuck Norris training with the Machados and
Walker,
Gracies.
Texas Ranger. There's a
Yeah.
scene.
That's a cool episode. Like,
And
that's a
it's the
cool fight
only
scene.
scene where Machado beats up Chuck Norris. It's the only, I think, if you watch Walker, Texas Ranger, that is the only time someone beats up Walker, Texas Ranger. 'Cause he beats
Yeah.
up all the students, but then I think it's John Jock. It cuts to the scene of Chuck Norris tapping out to John Jock. And so I
Okay.
think it's kind of cool to see your hero being tapped out by his instructor.
The power of jiu-jitsu. Even
Yeah.
Chuck Norris, even Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah,
Amazing.
he's a third degree black belt under David Dunn. And then so I did Chun Cook Do. I started it, and that was probably one of the most important things I'd ever done. Was I started as a white belt, and I used to bow in, and we'd have all the belts up to black. And every time I bowed in, I'd look at black and be like, I'm going to get there one day. And it was the
Hmm.
first time I'd ever done well at something, or like it gave me like a path of progression. Like, oh, you learn these moves to get to this belt, and kind of taught me like a system. And then like if you show up, you get better. And it was the first time I had like a example of showing up, having someone like instruct me, getting better, and then accomplishing my goal, which then helps me get through the college and helps me huge in life.
So you really enjoyed having that structure and seeing the
Mhm.
progression and having that goal. What's one thing that you learned from uh, your karate training that transfers over to jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think so a lot of people make fun of traditional martial arts because they're not as effective fighting, which is true. But they give you they helped with motor coordination and then mindset, and it just gave me a mindset of what to do in jiu-jitsu. So, for example, my karate teacher would say, Rick Ryan from Weirton, West Virginia, if he actually watches this, shout
Shout
out
out.
to him. He would always say a white belt was two things. A white belt was just or a black belt. Sorry, not white belt. A black belt was a white belt that never quit, and I was like, oh, I can do that. And then a black belt was someone that mastered the fundamentals, and that has stuck through with me my entire life in engineering, like in college, in mathematics, physics, whatever. What are the fundamentals?
Mm,
In sales, what are the fundamentals? In building a business, what are the fundamentals? So when it came to jujitsu, a lot of people, you see new people, they want to learn the coolest thing, all the tricks, all that stuff. And I was older by then. So, well, actually went back to jiu-jitsu in 2014 to 2015. I did it for a year, got really close to blue belt, and then it wasn't the best environment for me. I had my last year of school, and then I was really big into lifting, and I didn't want to get beat up and be sore. So, anyways, I took a 8 year. I often joke it took me 8 years to get to blue belt. It only took me 2 years to go to purple.
hmm
And
hmm
so the mindset was, what are the fundamentals? So when I got back into jiu-jitsu, I was over 30. I'd lost my lifting bug. Like I just couldn't push the weights like I used or wanted to. Like I just lost, I didn't have the community of friends that I had. And then I was just getting fat and I was drinking and I was just like, dude, I need something to kick my ass and like a new challenge.
Mm.
And so I
And
showed up.
you're at this point you're here out here in Oregon.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm from Akron, Ohio. Then I moved out here in 2017, and then I started in April 1st, 2023. Is when I came
Okay.
back to.
Yeah.
I actually, well, I took. There's several times I tried to go back. One of them was I showed up at Impact Jiu Jitsu in March of 2020, and my free
Oh,
week trial
right before the
ended.
shutdown?
Yeah,
Oh
ended.
man.
If that wouldn't have happened, I would have started, but I would have started at a different school, and I don't know if I would have stayed or whatnot because when I came back, anyways, mindset wise, mastering the fundamentals. I'll go back to that stool. Has let me with each belt be like, what are the fundamentals of a white belt? So you have to learn escapes, and then you have to learn a couple submissions. So, and I've already got my black belt, which I know into the jiu-jitsu world isn't recognized as much, but in my head, I've already done it. So I don't need to rush to get to black belt. Like I don't need to prove I'm a black belt. Like I'm enjoying the journey. So I enjoy showing up. I enjoy learning. I like the belts. Don't get me wrong. Like I want to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I've really enjoyed getting my blue belt. In Ireland, shout out to Professor Gus tying my blue belt after winning my first tournament. Awesome feeling. Shout out to
Mm,
my professor Pat Spate, getting my purple belt and all the time. He's a great feeling, but the journey of just showing up and the discipline and
mm,
I just love that portion of the martial arts way more now than when I was younger. And
mm,
so figuring out what the fundamentals are for each stage. So I'd say the mindset was the discipline and then understanding that a black belt was just someone that mastered the fundamentals.
mm.
And so yeah, I
Nice.
got showed up. I tried different jujitsus, but I didn't want to lift and then be sore and beat up all the time. Because at the old school in Ohio, the coach would just beat up any new person that came in. He would just tap them as many times as he could to show that he was top dog. And then all the other guys would do it. And I just saw like a ton of ACL tears and just like it was just very like rough and
Mm,
like
mm,
they'd make fun of everyone and not in like a friendly way. So I just
mm.
didn't enjoy. I stuck it out for a year because I was
That's
very disciplined.
that's when you went back at 2014, 2015,
That
or
was yeah
2004,
back
the
in
first
yeah
one.
2014.
So you're like
I'm in
finishing up
college.
college.
Yep.
Yeah. That's not a great experience, not a great environment. We're very
But
different
one of
in
my core
BTT.
identities is I'm a martial artist. So did that for a year, and then I wanted to get back into martial arts. So I did the free week trial, and then COVID happened. And at the other school, I asked them. I noticed they started from their knees, which is pretty common in jiu-jitsu. And I was just like, I just don't. For whatever reason, it just didn't sit right with me. I like
Mm,
the standing portion.
mm,
I want to be able to do takedowns. And then I asked if they had like structure for their teaching because I'm a systems guy and
Hmm.
I just can't
Like
understand
a
free.
curriculum.
Yeah, and they didn't have one.
Hmm.
So I was just like, okay. So then COVID happens, shuts down, and then I was watching Highlander, the TV show. I'm a big Highlander fan, which is
Oh, TV show. I know the movie.
the TV show is 10 times better.
TV show.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, super. It's on Prime. Uh,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and martial art
But
is
it's
kung
the
fu.
the immortal guys with the sword
Yeah.
fights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
with
yeah.
Duncan MacLeod. I have the
Yeah, yeah.
sword hung up in the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
Super it's cheesy. It's in the 90s, so it's not by today's
Hey,
standard.
I remember what is it? Xena Warrior
Yeah.
Princess
If
and
you like
those
Xena and
types of
Hercules, you'll
things.
like Highlander.
And Hercules, right?
And so I was watching Highlander and I was like, I just don't want to be beat up all the time. So I didn't want to go back to jiu-jitsu, but then I did kung fu for 3 months, like Wing Chun, and I
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
learn sticky hands. But then
Oh,
like
sure.
these people actually believe they could beat up MMA fighters. And I was like,
With the chain punch. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I was just like, no, you can't. Like I was just doing it for fun.
Yeah. And you're watching
And
UFC
no,
along the way.
I don't watch UFC,
Oh, okay. Okay.
but I'm a weird anomaly. I'll watch it if someone invites me, but I don't.
Right. You're not obsessed with it.
But I know that a jiu-jitsu person or an MMA fighter is going to whoop a kung fu person. Like I'd already done jiu-jitsu for a year. Like I knew that. But then these guys were just so serious that they could like and like I'm like, dude, you guys are there's no way.
Hmm.
And so I just couldn't stay because I just couldn't take it
What
seriously.
what were some so that's kind of a funny story, but do you have any stories about like in the training where the jujitsu came out or your karate came
No,
out?
it was just like how their stance and the punching. And I was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like their punching is weird.
Yeah.
I asked
Hmm.
the instructor to just like hit, like, show me how your punch. And he had his like girlfriend do it on me. And I was like, this doesn't like give me confidence that this works or is real. Like, this is
I
not
see. Right.
like, cause like I was big, I was
You're not
255 and
testing it live.
6'2". And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but then you roll with someone like Maria and she just whoops everyone. Uh,
Yes. So Maria Hufado, she's one of our black belt
yeah.
instructors at Camby Jiu-Jitsu and was part of Brazilian top team. And yeah, she's a
Yeah.
high level grappler.
So April comes and Highlander redid the martial arts bug for me. I'm like, I want to do it. I want to get back in some type of shape. I need something to like go. And then I didn't want to like. There's a jiu-jitsu school like a mile and a half that fit the times, but then I saw BTT had a similar schedule that fit my life. Because one of the things was I wanted to eliminate excuses, and 7 a.m. was an easy time for me to show
Hmm.
up.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was 12 minutes from my house. And I went in on a Sunday morning and I met my instructor, Pat Spate. So shout out to Pat, and then shout out to Professor Gus for creating the environment to have such wonderful people and times and allowing me to train there. And I go in and I do this the drills and stuff with them, and then Coach Pat rolls with me, and he didn't tap me once the whole 5 minutes. He's just like, no, put your hands here, do this,
Hmm.
and I was just I was waiting to get beat up. Like I was waiting for him to show that he
Hmm.
was the man and he
Dominant.
could beat, yeah, dominance. But like I knew he could beat me up, but he didn't once. Now he's tapped me out a lot of times since then,
Hmm.
more than I can count. But in that, the first time we rolled together, he was just so humble and just like, hey, here's how you do this. Don't, just really wanted to see what I knew and how I rolled. And I was like, oh, I can learn from this guy. This guy doesn't have an ego, but he was just so confident in his jujitsu ability that he didn't need to prove it to me.
Hmm.
He just like, because I don't think I really told him that I'd done much,
Hmm.
and he was
He
just
pro
so confident.
as soon as he was moving around with you, he probably could feel that you
Yeah,
had done some training. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so I was very impressed by that. And then I met a couple guys there that one of the black belts now, Dr. Dan, took me under my wing. So they're all super nice to me. And I was like, oh, this is a good group of guys. No one tried to beat me up, which I was pretty muscular back then. And I'm still muscular, but I was in a lot better shape or more muscle wise. And I'm in better shape now, but less muscle. And no one tried to like kill
Interesting.
me or beat me up. And I was just like, oh, this is a different environment than what I was used to. And then after the end of the class, I talked to my coach, Pat. I was like, hey, they started from standing. So that checked that box. And then the other one, I was like, hey, how do you like plan your thing? And he goes, oh, it's like I have a 16-week curriculum. We start from standing offense, then we do standing defense, and then we do guard offense, guard defense, and then all these positions, and then we have a submission series, and then it repeats. And the way my brain works, having a curriculum and going through all the positions, I think I learned the fundamentals way faster. So it
Mm,
went back to my principle of like, what are the fundamentals? And so we cover the fundamentals of offense and defense and I mean, there's still a lot of stuff. Like there's octopus guard and there's, different levels, but the fundamental wise, we constantly are going over. And so I've
mm,
had over the last 3 years, a really good, it'll be 3 years in April. A good grasp of the fundamentals and seeing it. And then he does a great job of doing concepts and techniques. So I'm a kinesthetic learner. And so I get to learn, feel it, and then I get to hear the concept behind it. And that's helped me a lot when I've gone to other schools. Like one time I went to, they did a Shark Tank round. And my coach always says, if they attach themselves to you, you can roll them. And so conceptually, I know if they like attach themselves to me, they've attached themselves to me. So all I have to do is move myself and they'll move. And I was the only person in their school that made it the whole time through. And the brown belt goes, "Hey, how'd you keep getting me off you? You're the only one that and he was 300 pounds
mm.
and I go, oh, well, conceptually this and because of the way the drill was structured, you're trying to sub me from mount. And so I knew
Mm,
I just had to wait and then
mm.
turn and even though I never drilled that way, understood the concept.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's
That's
how,
that's cool. You're instead of focusing on moving a 300-pound person, you just focused on moving yourself.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I'm 250. So there's it's not like I'm 185 doing it, but so
Right.
just the way Pat teaches of teaching the concepts and the techniques aligned with my personal learning style. And then I was lucky enough that Pat, my coach, body structure we're the same height. And then all the guys I used to train with, we had similar. And then shout out to Dr. Dan Burnett, who recently got his black belt, well deserved. He kind of became a big brother to me. And
Hmm.
he's like, and again, I model people a lot. So I pay attention to people's stuff and then I model what works for them. And so I'd try
Yeah.
those things. And
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
subconsciously I was doing his game.
yeah. Well,
Oh yeah,
Dr.
sorry.
Dan, he hits me with Kimura from close guard all the time, or
Yeah,
open guard. What's something that you've learned from him? Either
yeah.
a technique or a principle from
I've
Doctor.
learned tons. I'd say most recently the hip bump to arm lock that he's famous for. He's helped dial that in, just where to push my body or place my body in the setup.
So
He
here
taught,
we're shifting into technique talk. So
yeah,
so you, so hitting the hip bump, going for
yes.
the hip bump.
So going
Which
for
arm are you
Kimura,
attacking? Which one are you attacking?
whatever arm is on the. So if I'm in guard, it'd be their left arm, and then going for like getting the hand set up, and then going for the Kimura, but then
You're going for
doing
the
the hip bump.
Kimura on the right arm, but you attack the left arm for the arm lock?
I think it's my right side, so I think it's their left, right?
Okay. So, yeah,
So I'm going
yeah.
right. I'm going over, and
Okay.
then they go to defend the hip bump or the Kimura, which
Yeah,
then
yeah.
allows you to hip bump sweep. And then if you grab their arm just right, you can pin it down and then do an arm lock, which is
Okay, I see. So the
fr-
the arm that you're attacking the Kimura, you get the sweep and you're still holding that, you're
yes,
transferring to the pinning the arm,
yeah.
so
So
the far side. Yeah, yeah.
that's the one I've most recently. But he's
Okay.
taught me so much. He also gave
Hmm.
me cauliflower ear. Uh, one of the fundamental things he taught me was how to sprawl. I mean, I think we spent like 8 weeks of me coming in every morning before class and just spending a portion on sprawling because I did not have that wrestling background and knew how to do
Mm,
that.
mm,
Side
hmm.
control, he spent my first tournament or second tournament up in before I went to Ireland. He spent 5 minutes with me just getting out of side control and
Mm.
showing me how to do some of that, and that he's invested a lot of time into me, and that helped me a lot with wanting to go to class of just having someone that's willing to like an upper belt mentor me. He was purple when I started, I believe.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned that your professor, Pat, didn't tap you first time you rolled with him. What's something that you know is coming and you just still can't stop? What does he
Oh,
hit
there's a
with you with
bunch.
all the time?
He does lately the canto choke or canto.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Don't ask me how to set it up.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I helped him refine it lately because I started to
Oh, so it's
slightly
even worse. You
yeah,
defend it and now he like makes it worse. Like he has
yeah.
another
So
variation on it.
there's
Okay.
that. His walk around sweep, is coming, and then he does a sweep where you open the leg, and then it's like a single leg takedown. What else? There's a bunch.
Describe that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the best way. So if the walk around, probably like half guard's the best position to start it in. You can get it from
Mm-hmm.
different areas. So your top leg disappears and lets them go out, and then you take the leg that top leg's closest to, and you open. It's called opening the gate. So you, if this is the inside of their leg, you put your foot around, open it so their knee comes in, and then with your top hand you reach around and then you go under the butt, so instead of going up around the back you go under the butt around the knee at
Yeah.
the
With
hips,
the underhook. Yeah.
and then you're doing kind of like a technical stand up, like a modified technical stand up, and then you're pushing and then driving down and
Mm-hmm.
sweep and get on top.
Yeah. That's one thing I remember Professor Pat, whenever training with him and do an underhook, like a tight waist or a
Hmm.
high one, he just shakes his head, right? He really
Yeah.
likes having the underhook below the waist,
Yep.
like in the butt, like in the thighs, like having a low
Yep.
underhook when you're
Yeah.
in half guard.
I've learned so much from it. I mean, 90% of the jiu-jitsu I do, it comes from his style teaching. Even all the stuff from Dr. Dan that he's helped taught, like Pat taught to
Mhm.
him and helped
Yeah.
refine. So
Yeah. So you're a pretty big guy. How would you describe your game? What do you like to do?
yeah, for a while I did a lot of gift wraps. I would just end up gift wrapping them, and then I'd do the arm bar. So I'd gift wrap them, and then I'd slip my arm under,
Mm.
and then I would grab
In
the
from
leg.
mount or side control?
So the gift wrap is technical mount.
Technical.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
then I'd grab the leg and then arm bar. That's one of my favorites.
Hmm.
I keep people are defending stuff. So as you know, you start doing more things. So lately I've been doing a lot more loop chokes. I went to a seminar with Alex. What was his last name? For
Vieira,
Vieira, yeah. And
BTT Long Beach. Yes.
yeah, he was. It was one of the best seminars I've been to. So one of my philosophies with seminars is you want to learn one or two things from that seminar, and
Hmm.
then I practice it for a whole month. I just try and do whatever that is, every role for a whole month or two.
Yeah.
And his seminar, he taught very systematically, step by step by step, and it went from me never doing loop chokes to I almost got a loop choke on Dr. Dan today. It didn't happen, but it was the
Okay.
closest and the
Okay.
most worrisome I've ever seen him be.
All right, Dan, he's coming for you.
Yeah, I'm very proud about that. He might deny it, but I'm very proud. It lasted like 20 seconds. I honestly thought this might be the first time I choked someone out because I was not going to let go until he was like, I'm not.
Nice.
He
Nice.
definitely
Yeah.
pulled some black belt tricks and got out. But
Hmm.
the seminar, like the way he taught us, like you put your thumb line up like right here for the loop choke. So in the gi, this base, and that's now my primary grip. So anytime I push, pull, that's where my grip is now. And then anytime someone ducks my head, I can just go, and it just opens up so many things. And then if
Hmm.
the other thing he taught was if that doesn't work, he did like a guillotine of putting it under the armpit. And so it's just
The
really,
follow up.
yeah, upped my game on, even if I don't get it, just the threat of it opens up so many sweeps and it just puts me on offense.
Yeah. Yeah. His instructional on BJJ Fanatics, loop choke and crucifix are
Yeah.
together like is a really jam packed instructional.
I purchased it the day I got back from the seminar, and it was well worth the
Okay.
investment. I would
Yeah.
recommend that seminar over any of Danaher's or Gordon Rydon's because the way he taught it, for my brain at least, was just very
Hmm.
systematic. And like I haven't gone through all of it, but just like step by step, like, oh, I can use this, I can apply this. Where
Hmm.
Danaher's is very high level, talk, 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 talk. I have no idea what they're doing. They do it, then I have to rewatch it. It was just a lot of money for at least the way they teach, and their style just does not fit the way my brain learns.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Everyone's got to find what works for them. So thumbs down for you. Those don't work. Do you learn from like YouTube or other instructionals, or just mainly from on the mats?
I think it depends on where you are in your journey of jujitsu. So if
Yeah.
you're a white belt, I don't think you should be looking at that much YouTube or instructionals. I think you should be going to class and then practicing whatever you're learning there, and then asking your instructor where or upper belt where you're getting stuck at to improve. And I think that should be the case till bluish, a blue belt. And then blue belt, your goal is to try everything you can and figure out like what works for you and develop your game. And so that's what I did. And I thankfully have a good coach that was really helpful of like shaping my game. Like, hey, try this. And he would, after class would give me pointers and really enhance my or sharpen my game faster, I think, because I was training
Very
for a tournament.
specific things. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
And
focus
so
on.
we would go through the curriculum, which helped solidify that. But then after class, he would be like, hey, you keep getting caught here. You keep doing this. You keep making this mistake, or you're doing this really well. This is going to be
Mm.
your jam. Keep focusing on that. So that helped. Now that I'm like in purple, I'm starting to look at a lot more instructionals and that stuff, because not that I've learned everything from him, but I've learned a lot of stuff. So now to like the loop choke, for example, he doesn't really do a lot of loop chokes. Not that he can't do them or doesn't know them, but all the setups and all the, things he just has, that's not really part of his game.
It's not what he specializes in. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm starting to dive into that stuff. And
Mm.
then takedowns, I'm starting to study a little bit more because I
Wrestling
want to get
style or judo?
wrestling. So we have some
Okay.
high level wrestlers in ours, and he
Mm.
taught me the knee tap. And
Underhook
so
knee tap.
that's,
That's my favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know about it. I know it's a basic thing, but it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is this. And what I like about it is it works really well, but you're not knocking the wind out of people. And it's not like a slam or a throw where you scare them. It's just like, boop. And then they go down and you're like, or they look at you like,
And you're in
what just
side
happened?
control, right? You
Yeah.
don't land on them. Like
And so
ideally, you're
being
passing their guard.
ultra heavy, I'm
Mm.
235 to 255. I like when I'm in shape, I like being 235 because I'm fast but still strong. I
Mm.
don't getting down to 222 just seemed impossible for me.
Mm.
And I'd be a little weaker and just I'd have nothing, like I'd just be so slim that I just didn't make it in time. Last year I got down to 229 and I just couldn't peel any more weight off. So I had to go to
Mm.
ultra heavy,
Mm.
and they're 275, 300 pounds. And if you look at their
Mm.
game, being on top is just once I got on top, I did a lot better, but I lost by points because I did a lapel drag. So you grab the lapel, pull them down.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
against normal people, it worked really well.
Mm.
But I
You're gonna
found
come up on top.
275, all they do is sit down. And then I was in half guard the whole time
Yeah.
and then defending, and
They'll
it
sit on
took
you.
for yeah, it took me forever to get on top, and he was already
Mm.
14 points ahead. I didn't get
Mm.
the points, and then I had 34 seconds, and
Mm.
the match was over.
Yeah. And you couldn't find the loop choke from bottom half guard.
I didn't take the seminar yet,
Oh, okay. Next time they're gonna pay the
but I
price.
was very
Yeah. Yeah.
happy I didn't get tapped out. He mounted me and tried to mother's milk me, and I got out. He tried side control, and I got out. So I was very happy with my jiu-jitsu level against someone that was 6'5", 300 pounds. And I
Nice.
was, although I lost by points, he didn't sub me, and
Mm.
I got on top towards the end, and he was tired out, and I still had. So I was in the right shape. I was very proud of how much I learned training for it, the package I came in, and I know what to do differently. But I think one of the things I want to do for the next match is like have a better takedown strategy for bigger guys, because
Mhm.
I don't want to be the person that push pulls the whole time. And I know that's the game, but I'm not in sumo. I want to do jujitsu.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Hit them with a blast double.
Yeah.
Use your speed.
I
Yeah.
need to practice that. But yeah.
Yeah.
So takedowns is what I've
Yeah.
identified as a weak spot. So I've been
Yeah.
trying to chip away at
Yeah.
that.
Nice. So planning on competing more.
Yeah. So I'm a hobbyist. I work and then I have a business, and I just train 3, 4 times a week, which is a lot, but not it's doable and manageable for my schedule and lifestyle. I like competing, not because I want to be Gordon Ryan or anything. I'm 34 and I'm a purple belt. So there's being the greatest in the world, it's not going to happen.
Hmm.
Financially, there's not a lot of money in it. So it doesn't make
Hmm.
sense to spend all my time. But what I really love is the journey along the way. The older I get, the more I like the journey more than the destination. And so training for worlds, what I loved about it was on the days I wanted to skip jujitsu, I showed
Hmm.
up. It forced me to do extra rounds. So instead of doing 3 rounds, I was doing 4 rounds. It got me to jog. I was jogging by the time I went to Worlds, I was jogging 3 miles when historically I've never even jogged a mile. I haven't jogged a mile since college. And I got up to 3 miles, which I've never done in my life. And like, I don't know if I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the cardiovascular system. I could just keep going and going, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then it forced me to go to open mats at other places to meet new people and train a little harder, and it forced me to pay attention to my weaknesses. I think the only reason I got the purple belt as fast as I did was because I've competed, and it exposes weak spots faster. And so instead of doing what I was good at all the time,
Hmm.
I've been identifying weak spots. So like now I have a really good, or maybe not really good, but I have a decent bottom game. And I feel very comfortable on bottom, and like I can get out of stuff. And it's because I forced myself to play bottom versus be on top. So it hone competition exposes your weaknesses, and then it hones your stuff. And then I have a mindset that I'm okay with losing. I'm not okay losing the same way twice, and I'm not okay with losing because I was lazy. So I didn't want to show up to Worlds and just wing it. Like I didn't want to show up to Worlds and be like, "Oh, I trained 3 days a week and we'll see what happens." Like, no, I came in with a plan. I hired a nutrition coach. I lifted 3 times a week. I spent
Hmm.
time with my coach coming up with a strategy, honing weaknesses, getting better at stuff. And so I became a better jiu-jitsu player because I
Nice.
competed, and I treated it like a fight camp and a comp. So that's why I like competing. And then,
Hmm.
going to Worlds or any place like Ireland, Worlds, traveling with a couple of your friends, like it's so much fun. Like after college, like you rarely get to go vacation with friends anywhere. You don't really travel as much with your buddies, and I think there's just a level of friendship and community that happens when you travel away with people, and there's a
Hmm.
closeness and there's inside jokes, and there's just a level of depth that you don't get just
Hmm.
by casual hangouts, but like intentionally training for something, sweating for something, bleeding for something, and then traveling together and just enjoy it forms a bondship that is very beneficial. And when you move
Hmm.
places, you don't have your high school friends like you had or your
Yeah.
college friends. And so you have to restart community wise. And I think for me, that has given me a sense of community and belonging that I didn't have my first 5 years in Oregon.
Well said, Zach. Yeah,
Thank you.
very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So, yeah, to kind of wrap things up and kind of
Yeah.
summarize a little bit from your karate background and being inspired by the man, Chuck Norris, you learned discipline and you learned to stick with it,
Hmm.
not giving up, and those lessons that your instructor imparted on you. It was also really cool, kind of similar to me. I think, I started in MMA, so I didn't get my blue belt until for like 11 years.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I think it's just as jujitsu gets more popular, it's very common for people to try it for a little bit, life, school,
Yeah.
work, or moving, and then like starting it up again. But it's really cool that you kind of came to the place where like, I don't like how I feel. Like
Hmm.
I weigh more than I want to.
Yeah.
I'm just burnt out with lifting, and then just reconnecting with jujitsu. And it sounds like it sounds like it's more fun for you for sure
Yes.
at BTT Damascus. And the way that you're mentored by Dr. Dan, it sounds like that's what that's the I in our other podcast, I don't think we
Yeah.
mentioned Zach. I interviewed Zach for about his business,
Hmm.
and we'll put a link in the description for that interview where you shared a little bit more that you like to mentor other people. So I'm sure
Yeah.
on the mats that you're going to be like following Dan's example of mentoring others on the mats.
Yeah. And I will say, I think that also comes from Pat too. Pat mentored Dan and us, and then Dan helped me, and then now I have some white belts that are my pet white belts that I'm helping out, and
Mhm. You adopt
yeah,
yeah, upper belts adopt the white belts.
yeah, and it plays such a huge role. I think BTT has such a good culture, coaching culture at Happy Valley and at Damascus, where I've trained both, and I've trained at other places now, and I noticed it wasn't quite the same, and so I'm very thankful for that. And then at my work, I mentor, and so I really enjoy that part of it. In Ohio, there's a powerlifting community, so like everyone lifted, and then you hung out, and when I moved to Oregon, it wasn't the same. Like people like just kind of like have their headphones in and then they kind of do their thing and then they leave.
Hmm.
And so I was struggled to make I made friends, but not people that like because I've moved so much. I have like I rate friendships by if I moved, would I stay in contact with them? And then if they
Hmm.
came to visit me, would I move my schedule around to
Hmm.
get dinner
To
or
spend time with them.
whatever? And
Hmm.
before jujitsu, I had like three or four people I'd maybe do that with. Through jiu-jitsu here, I have like a dozen people that if I was to move again and they need a place to stay, or they came in like, hey, I'm at the airport, I only have 3 hours, can you come pick me up and get dinner? Be like, yeah, sure, let me, do I have to take, I'd move my schedule around if possible to do so. And
Hmm.
so I've just loved
Hmm.
that. And then like, traveling and going to tournaments and the stress relief, having, if you're more of a cerebral person, there's so many games in jiu-jitsu, there's so many things to study and improve that it's an infinite learning loop.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's fun. I saw a nice like visual
Uh-huh.
representation of like jujitsu. There was this one dude who makes handcrafted puzzle boxes
Oh,
where it's all
yeah.
like in his workshop, and there's no like, I don't think there's any like metal. It was all just like
Oh.
very intricately fit
Hmm.
wood, but like each box has its own like
Yeah.
solution, and then he has another one, and I think jujitsu is like that: closed guard,
Yeah.
open guard, with the gi, leg locks, you know.
Yeah.
It's like playing with a new puzzle box, like getting a new puzzle box and exploring how to
Yep.
figure it out. It's a lot of fun, right? Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. Excellent
great.
point.
Yeah. All right, Zach. Well, thank you for your time. We'll see you on the
Yeah. Welcome.
mats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. Bye.